Hey, thanks for joining us today. We're wanting to take a few moments just to talk about what's happening in the markets. My name is Bryon Robbins with Robbins Resource Management. I have with me Sam Dunham, who is the Director of our operations with Plastic Pallet Pros, a division of Robbins Resource Management. And so today I just wanted to take some time to talk about what's happening in the markets. What are you experiencing with the phone calls you're receiving?
There seems to be a lot more fear right now, just uncertainty. A lot of the customers that I'm talking to they seem to be pumping the brakes a little bit.
Yeah, and as I talk to different pallet companies and as we're talking to different people, what you find is there's never been an industry that's more apt to be able to pivot, find opportunity in the midst of that. And that's what we're finding now is we're having to look for that. So what are some things that you're looking for as these markets tighten up a little bit?
I see opportunity as the markets tighten up, and that's what I'm looking for when I'm talking to my customers is just opportunity. It's opportunity to differentiate yourself. It's opportunity to prepare yourself for the future, and it's an opportunity to beat your competition. So those are the opportunities I'm looking for when I'm talking to my customers, is to help them do those things.
Yeah, and as we talk to our sales forces, we have a sales force with Robbins Resource Management that deals with wood and lumber and with wooden pallets. And we also have Plastic Pallet Pros, which deals in the plastic pallets, also with collapsible bins and things of that nature. One of the things we have to keep in mind as we go into this market is 80% of all of the product that's moving in the United States right now is moving on wooden pallets and skids across this country. Just 6 years ago, we were at about $8 billion in total sales of wooden pallets and skids. And right now, this year, they're looking at that being $13.9 billion. So keeping that in front of our sales force saying, hey, there's a lot of opportunity out there. And in the plastics, people keep talking about how you're stealing from wood. Right. Talk a little bit about that.
No, I don't see that happening at all. I don't see it stealing from wood. I see it as it's a new product, essentially, that provides things that a wood pallet can't. So it's filling some opportunities in the market right now for customers to kind of step up and improve their situation with a different product. And so that's kind of what I'm seeing as far as plastic versus wood. It's just a different product, and it provides some different opportunities, solve some problems that a wood pallet can't. And I'm finding more and more customers looking at that as a solution, along with the sustainability. I mean, that's a really big driver for plastic right now as well.
Yeah, right now you have a lot of people talking about going carbon neutral, being able to see how many trips they can get out of a pallet being in-house. And dealing with some new pallet companies. Like right now we have new pallet companies springing up across the United States because the opportunity is so great. You had just a few years ago where people were talking about how wood made up about 96%, 95% of the pallet market. Plastic was at 3-4%, and then you had metal and other things taking up the other percent. And you had a lot of people who were talking about how plastic was going to cannibalize in the wood. What nobody anticipated was the comeback of manufacturing in the United States. Right now we're adding 30,000 new jobs every month in manufacturing as companies are moving here. I mean, tell us about some of the pricing on cargo trailers, cargo coming into the United States.
It's fluctuated greatly. I mean, I've seen costs anywhere from $8,000 to $20,000 for a container coming into the United States. And it's created a tremendous amount of supply chain challenges with delays, lack of containers, increase of cost on that product that's coming from overseas. And I think that's probably what's driving a lot of that manufacturing here in the US and growth. And you'd asked me a second ago kind of what I'm seeing out there as far as with my customers. While there might be some uncertainty, what I'm not seeing is any retraction. Everybody's busy. Everybody's very busy. And the wood pallet companies that we work with, they're not slowing down. The plastic is increasing, but it's not resulting in a reduction in wood sales. That's not changing. I see everybody's busy, and everybody has got plenty to do. And the plastic pallets are growing, but I don't see it cutting into the wood business at all.
Yeah, and a good example of that is, what's your lead times on plastic pallets?
Yeah, I mean, lead times on plastic pallets right now range from a week to some, they might be 10 weeks for a plastic pallet. On some of them, it kind of depends. If you're bringing it from overseas, then it's going to be a lot longer than that.
Yeah, we used to have what they called, just in time when it came to manufacturing, where people did not want to be warehousing or holding on to the product to make their product. And now you have people going back to warehouses being full. Right now across the United States, warehouses are going up in record numbers as they're trying to build space to be able to hold the raw materials, to be able to build everything from wave runners to tractors to whatever you name it, to end loaders. A lot of products can't be completely finished because they do not have all the products, which is driving so many manufacturers to come to the U.S. And you also have the U.S. government now offering different incentives for countries to be manufacturing here instead of overseas. So there's never been a climate that I've seen in my 25 plus years in the pallet business where you've had such an incentive to be manufacturing here. New York Times just recently did an article where it said manufacturing, it looks like we're back in the 1970s with manufacturing. What's some of the things that have made that possible that you know of?
I think automation has helped that quite a bit here in the U.S. I think the environment right now, as far as for manufacturing in the U.S., there's a lot of incentives to do that. And that is a lot of the customers that we are getting and calling us right now on the plastic pallet side are new operations. They're new manufacturing facilities that are growing, they're opening, they're expanding. And I think the demand is still very high. And so the demand for those products, and as you mentioned, the supply chain challenges and the expense of bringing things into the U.S. has increased so much that it's created a perfect environment to consider, should we just manufacture that in the U.S.? And people are starting to take advantage of that, and that's created opportunity, I think, in manufacturing.
Yeah, and you mentioned how people are really busy in the plastic pallet world. The same thing's true in the wooden pallets. I know I've been on a number of visits here recently with a lot of our customers, and one of the things we're finding is they actually dropped some of their more challenging customers during this COVID time because everybody was so busy. And I know people I was talking to have still not picked them back up yet. And so they're still working with the customers they've picked up. They've all talked about the phones ringing. And so that brings us to the problem that a lot of them are facing, which I want to touch on a little bit here, and that is with employees. Right. And so you have a lot of people out there talking about how it's really hard to find good employees. And what leads to that is we have a low unemployment rate. And we had in the end of August, almost 11 million jobs unfulfilled in the U.S. And so what are some of your ideas? Let's talk about a few ideas for employee retention.
Employee retention, that's interesting because I've heard that a lot. It's hard to find good employees. It's hard to keep good employees. And on the wood pallet side, I know that's for the pallet shops, the people building pallets, it's a tough job. And as far as retention goes, I think there's a lot of things that you can look at as far as even how you pay, piece rate, the environment you're creating. But the reality is the companies that I've worked with and the companies that I see when I go visit that create that environment, they create that opportunity for their employees, that career path, opportunity to make a decent income, they don't have a problem finding good employees. There's people out there. You do have to look, and you have to have that mindset of, I want to create an environment, and we need to be a place that people want to work. And when you look at it from that perspective, I think there's things you can do as a business owner operating your business to kind of create that environment that attracts good people.
Yeah, one of the things we're doing currently with Robbins Resource Management and Plastic Pallet Pros is we've joined up with Cardone Ventures. Yeah. You and I and Jason, my brother, we're all in a program to try to lift our lids when it comes to operations, belief. We're looking at how can we, with our workforce, look at how can we help them on a personal, professional, and financial plans, and looking at even meeting monthly, which when you first look at it, first blush is that's going to take a lot of extra work when everybody already feels like they have a lot on their plate. But if we can keep good people, if we can keep those people working for us, that allows us to continue to move forward and attract a lot of new people.
Oh yeah, I've seen huge impacts since we've started doing that. I've always been a believer in investing in yourself, developing yourself, and continuing to grow as a leader in your organization, and just personally and professionally. And as we do this, it is work and it does take effort and time. But when you see that translate into the environment with your team, the attitude, everybody being on the same page, it has a huge impact on your business, and it has a huge impact on your culture and your ability to retain your employees. When you start providing them with that vision of what you're trying to attain as a company and what you believe that you can obtain, it changes their perspective. And when everybody's on that same page and aligned, it has a huge impact on your overall retention of employees, culture, but also production and just performance as a whole. So it's been, since we've started doing this, and both you and I both like to read, we're both guys that like to develop, but as we've started seeing this and really taking that beyond just ourselves, the me leadership over to we leadership, and starting to transition and help our employees do the same thing, it's had a huge impact.
Yeah, when you mentioned we leadership, me leadership is where, and this is one of the things that's been getting ingrained in us, and we're in turn trying to ingrain it within our employees and our management. And that is, me leadership is we take care of ourselves. We make sure we're growing. We leadership is where we look out among us and we find value, and then we add to that value. And so that's one of the things that we really want to be doing. One of the things that Cardone Ventures, Brandon Dawson, Grant Cardone, one of the things that they've really been bringing out lately that I think is really important, not only for us, but a message that we would like to give to everybody out there, and that is, what you look for is what you end up attracting. So if we look and we say, hey, things are getting tough, scarcity might be right around the corner, we will start seeing signs of that if we're looking and saying, hey, there's lots of opportunity. There's still manufacturing coming to the U.S. There's lots of things that we're able to see and take part in and partnership. One of the things that's being thrown around a lot right now is the new currency is collaboration. It's where we look at how can we partner together to be able to do business together and help one another. So as we look towards this year, I would encourage everyone not to be watching all the media that's out there, but to be actually looking at what's taking place in their local markets, the market within their state and within our country, as we are a great country that continues to not only manufacture and be able to sell products here in our country, but we're actually increasing our exports to other countries at the same time. There has never been a time where business can grow at the rate they can grow right now. And I believe in this next year, we'll continue to see that growth. So, hey, we appreciate you joining us today, and we hope that you're able to take something away from this.